In India, speeding truck rams into parked cars, causing multiple casualties.
Authorities say that dozens of people were rushed to the hospital after sustaining vital injuries. More details on this later in the news. Good evening, I am Gianna Llanes.
I am Nina Richie Elago Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International. Now for the headlines. Marcos administration reaffirms livestock industry's role in feeding millions of Filipinos. The United States is thankful of the Philippines' thriving partnership. SCO welcomes Iran as its 9th member. Brazil's Luiz Inácio da Silva is Mercosur's president pro tempore. And U.S. President Joe Biden demands stricter gun control laws behind Independence Day shootings. Veteran showbiz reporter Mario Dumawal has passed away at 64 due to septic shock. Dumawal suffered from a heart attack and was recovering from a severe fungal infection last month. He was hospitalized for a month at the Philippine Heart Center. They expected to celebrate his 65th birthday this coming July 31st, but the infection overcame his recovery. Several family and friends of the reporter posted on social media to honor his legacy in the industry of entertainment and journalism.
Health Secretary Teodoro Herbosa announces plans to combat scammers exploiting celebrities for unregistered medicine endorsements. Herbosa highlights that many popular doctors have fallen victim to these scams.
I've seen this in social media. Many of my friends, doctor friends, who are popular and specialists have been victimized for a drug that they did not endorse using their photos taken out of social media.
These doctors have filed cases with the National Bureau of Investigation's Cybercrime Division. However, the fake endorsements continue to resurface. Secretary Herbosa states that the Food and Drugs Administration, or FDA, will cooperate with the National Bureau of Investigation to crack down on these scammers.
These are really the scammers. So this is under the realm in DOH. This is under the realm of the FDA. Food and Drug Administration. They're a regulatory agency with police powers. So I think I will instruct the head of FDA, Sam Sakate, to actually coordinate with the NBI.
He emphasizes the importance of procuring drugs with FDA approval to avoid fraudulent products.
House Committee on Ways and Means Chairman and Albay Representative Joey Salceda suggests that the Congress must conduct a motu proprio investigation on the controversial tourism campaign video of the Department of Tourism. Salceda notes that the step will help the tourism department to fix the campaign rebrand problem. He adds that the investigation will allow the public to shed light on the truth behind the issue. Salceda is the first to criticize the promotional video for Mayon Volcano's exclusion. According to Salceda, the country's slogan must be aligned with the current situation of the country.
Senators are demanding a ban on the upcoming Barbie film due to a scene depicting China's 9-dash line claim over the West Philippine Sea. And Villanueva has the details.
In the trailer of the film, a child's drawing of a world map is shown with visible dash lines near the seas of fictional Asia. Senator Francis Tolentino specifies the depiction as dismissive of Philippine sovereignty. He calls upon the Movie and Television Review and Classification Board to ban the film. Senator Jinggoy Estrada concurs, citing other films being banned due to the same depiction of the 9-dash line. Senator Riza Hontiveros remarks that the film is fiction and the 9-dash line is similarly a product of China's imagination. She suggests an alternative, placing a disclaimer to the particular scene as fictional. The movie is co-produced by Chinese production company Pearl Studios. Vietnam has already banned the film over the same implication of the 9-dash line. Anne Villanueva for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Bureau of Treasury data shows that the national debt reached 14.1 trillion pesos as of the end of May. On an annual basis, the debt stock rose by 13% from 12.5 trillion pesos. Finance Chief Benjamin Jokno justifies the current debt level of the country, saying that borrowing money is not bad, but it is where it is spent that matters. Meanwhile, data shows that 70% of the debt accounts for domestic loans and the remaining 30% was sourced outside. The Marcos administration incurred a 1.295 trillion peso debt in 11 months. The current debt pile lies at about 96.35% of the expected 14.63 trillion pesos by the end of the year.
The Department of Transportation offers a 10-year extension of concession period for NAIA's renovations. Vin Pascua tells us more.
The Department of Transportation, or DOTR, is considering to extend the concession period to privatize the operations of the Ninoy Aquino International Airport, or NAIA. This is after the Manila International Airport Consortium, or MIAC, pushed for a 25-year concession contract. The original bid sought a 15-year concession period amounting to 141 billion pesos. But the agency says the National Economic and Development Authority, or NEDA, will decide the best route to take in regard to NAIA's privatization. According to Transportation Undersecretary Roberto Lim, the agency believes that the 15 years period is a better option. However, they provide an option to extend the deal by another 10 years as circumstance warrant. The agency notes that they aim to maintain the 15 years concession period after negotiations. NAIA previously experienced several power outages last January 1 and May 1, affecting 56,000 and 9,000 passengers respectively. Vin Pascua reporting for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. emphasizes the importance of the livestock industry in feeding millions of Filipinos.
We hope to empower our farmers, our fisherfolk, and other stakeholders to realize their full potential and play an integral part in building the livestock industry back up.
The president speaks at the Livestock and Aquaculture Philippines 2023 about revitalizing the agricultural industry. He pledges to address sector challenges and foster partnerships for development. He further outlines plans to improve public access to local produce and mitigate the impact of food inflation. The president also expresses optimism toward the vaccines for African swine fever, or ASF. He stresses the importance of detecting and preventing the spread of ASF and avian influenza.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. meets with Prime Energy to discuss the expanded Malampaya project. JD Mahinay has the details.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is seeking a more stable and cheaper energy supply in the country. With the expanded development of the Malapaya gas field, as well as the blending of imported liquefied natural gas, or LNG. The President meets with Prime Energy Resources Development BV in Malacanang Palace to hold talks on plans to explore and develop prospective projects surrounding with liquefied natural gas. Under the plan, Prime Energy's deep well drilling will start in the last quarter of 2024, and the extraction for additional production from the gas field is expected to kick off by the first half of 2026. Sources say the service contract number 38, or known as the Malapaya Deepwater Gas to Power Project, plays a vital role in supplying 20% of Luzon's electricity needs. For more than 20 years, the Malapaya project has become a significant energy provider that ensures the energy security of the country. Data shows that the gas plant has a generated revenue estimate of $13.14 billion for the Philippine government. The project also contributed significantly to the welfare of stakeholder communities via sustainable social and environmental measures. JD Mahinay reporting for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
The United States reaffirms its strong friendship with the Philippines. Madeline Moratillo reports.
United States Ambassador to the Philippines Mary Carlson thanks President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. for the continuous and growing friendship between the Philippines and the U.S. In a social media post, the American envoy expresses her gratitude for the deep bond that the two nations built. The U.S. diplomat hopes that the bilateral partnership between the two countries will prosper along with its people. Ambassador Carlson reaffirms the two nations' ironclad commitment to their alliance, noting this year's Balikatan exercise was successful. She adds that U.S.-Philippine economic ties are flourishing as well. The envoy also assures the United States' commitment to help the country in its growth and development. Last July 4, 2023 marked the 69th milestone celebration of the Philippine-American Friendship Day and the 247th anniversary of U.S. independence. Madeline Villar Moratillo reporting for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Coming up, Cuba hosts G77 plus China Environmental Ministers meeting. Countries rally against burning of religious texts in Sweden. And U.S. President Biden denounces wave of Independence Day shootings. Stay tuned, Mata ng Agila International will return for more global news.
By 318 Automart.
From catering services, bespoke shoes, to his latest venture in vending machines, there's no let-up for this young entrepreneur. Just what does it take to be an entrepreneur that recognizes the ever-evolving landscape of the catering industry and saw an opportunity to leverage his catering knowledge to offer ready-to-eat meal packs as another business stream? Together, let's learn the diverse and fascinating engagements of Felix Asuncion, from providing food and living up to his family's legacy as we are now open for business.
My massive transformative purpose is we serve to feed every table. Serving and feeding each and every families here in the Philippines.
Open for business with Cesar Vallejos, Sunday, 9 p.m.
Welcome back to Mata ng Agila International. Thailand's parliament names veteran politician Wan Nur as speaker. Wan Nur's appointment can be seen as a compromise between the Move Forward and the Pheu Thai party. As the only politician whose name was called in nomination, no vote was required to endorse a 79-year-old politician. Among his first tasks will be to table a joint session of parliament to decide on a prime minister, which requires the votes of more than half of the 750 members of the bicameral legislature. The agreement over the House Speaker seeks to diffuse some tensions between both parties ever since starting their political bloc. Following his appointment, Wan Nur, who was House Speaker between 1996 and 2000, said he would strive to remain politically neutral. The alliance is backing Move Forward leader Pita Limjaroenrat, 42, to become prime minister. Pita needs 376 votes to secure the post, but he currently has 312. He will need 64 more votes from either rival parties or members of the Conservative Learning Senate that was appointed by the military and have previously locked horns with Move Forward over some of its policies.
EU Green Deal Executive Vice President Frans Timmermans meets with Chinese officials to discuss climate change. Timmermans expresses optimism about China's intentions, but raises concerns about the opening of more coal plants. Greenpeace accuses China of prioritizing energy supply over emission reduction. As the largest greenhouse gas emitter, China plays a crucial role in limiting global temperature rise. However, it still heavily relies on coal for electricity generation. The UN warns people that 2023 to 2027 could be the warmest 5-year period ever recorded due to greenhouse gases and the El Niño phenomenon.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi welcomed Iran as the 9th member of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, or SCO. Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi lauded the historic moments with Russia, China, India, and 4 Central Asian countries. From Tehran, RT correspondent Youssef Jalali reports.
23rd Summit of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, hosted by India, is a turning point as Tehran takes part for the first time as a permanent member of the SCO. The SCO is a major security and trade cooperation organization in the Eurasia region, which was established in 2001 by Russia, China, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan, and later included India and Pakistan. Iran has been an observer member in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization since 2005, and now its full membership is believed to bear significant economic benefits for the country.
The world has now become multipolar. It's no longer a place for the US and Europe to have the last word. And as our leader once said, the US has been thrown into the garbage can of history. Today, we need to strengthen our ties with our neighbors.
De-dollarization is one of the subjects that tops the agenda at this year's SCO session. For Iran, the fall of the dollar in the global financial system could mean the end of U.S. sanctions that have severed the country's banking system from the rest of the world. Now, ditching the dollar and using alternative currencies will pave the way for Iran's return to the global market.
The Shanghai Cooperation Organization can help our country reduce its dependence on the dollar. This can help regional countries significantly in terms of economic growth because the US dollar has monopolized the world economy. Now we can break the US monopoly by using local currencies in our trade with the regional countries.
Many people in Iran believe that the revival of the 2015 nuclear deal is the ultimate way out for the country to resolve its economic woes. Now, as the ailing accord has for years remained only on paper, some people see new opportunities in Iran's collaboration with the emerging economies in alliances such as SCO and BRICS.
During the presidency of Mr. Rouhani, we used to be inclined toward the West. We made many mistakes, including the nuclear deal, which led us to rely on the West, but instead it worsened our economic growth. At that time, they intensified the sanctions and our economic problems increased. Now I believe Mr. Raisi's approach is a very positive stance for the future, because we need to bolster our economic ties with our neighbors.
The 8 member countries of the SCO represent around 42% of the world population and 25% of the global GDP. So there's an immense economic potential there. Even when Iran was an observer member, it maintained remarkable economic ties with the SCO region. According to the latest reporting period, Iran's total trade with SCO members was almost $42 billion. Now, Tehran's full membership will definitely see a spike in trade with SCO member states. Iran is also on the road to joining the BRICS group of emerging economies comprising Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. It seems that Tehran has found its like-minded partners, which are forming a new multipolar world order that is beginning to shift the power balance away from the US's unipolar worldview. Youssef Jalali, RT, Tehran.
Cuba hosts the G77 plus China Environmental Ministers meeting as part of the 14th Convention on Environment and Development. Cuba is hosting the meeting as President pro tempore of the G77 plus China, which aims to approve a concluding statement to take action against climate change, land degradation and pollution, and biodiversity protection. This year's edition will also include congresses on environmental education for sustainable development, environmental management, ecosystem management, climate change, environmental policy, justice and law, geospatial sciences and disaster risk, and a convention on transportation and environment. According to the organizing committee, the statement will boost the use of science, technology, and innovation for sustainable, inclusive, and resilient development for all people. The agenda of the Environment and Development Convention also includes the 18th Conference of Directors of Ibero-American NMS, with the presence of renowned personalities of this scientific discipline in the region and representatives of international organizations.
Guatemala's Supreme Electoral Tribunal, or TSE, is currently reviewing the presidential election outcome due to claims of irregularities. The nation's constitutional court ordered the TSE to suspend the release of official results. They cited the complaints of right-wing political parties, which allege interference with voting records from over 1,000 polling stations nationwide. This was after left-wing presidential candidates Sandra Torres and Bernardo Arevalo emerged as the front-runners in the first round of voting. Arevalo's left-wing party denounces the review as violating the will of the Guatemalan people.
Y que buscan de forma ilegal pues abrir las cajas de votación y verificar las papeletas, ¿verdad? Sabemos que hay una intención detrás de eso y que al final lo que quieren es robarse las elecciones. El pueblo de Guatemala fue muy claro el 25 de junio.
The United States and European Union condemns the court ruling and expresses concern over possible interference over the clear vote count.
In Venezuela, opposition presidential candidate Maria Corina Machado says her disqualification from holding public office in Venezuela is a boomerang that will end up harming the government. This after Venezuela's comptroller's office announced her disqualification. Venezuela's Comptroller General reported last Friday that Maria Corina Machado was disqualified from holding public office for 15 years. Machado is accused of alleged administrative irregularities when she was a deputy from 2011 to 2014. It was linked to a corruption plot of the symbolic interim government of opposition leader Juan Guaido. Guaido was recognized between January 2019 and January 2023 as president in charge of Venezuela by 50 governments that ignored Maduro's re-election in 2018. Machado addresses Maduro saying the Venezuelans are the ones who will choose the candidate to defeat him, with Venezuela's 2024 presidential election primary set for October 22. Machado hopes to run under the most radical wing of the opposition during the primaries.
The United Nations Human Rights Council is set to hold an urgent meeting on the burning of religious texts in Sweden following public outrage from various nations. The debate on the rise of religious hatred will likely take place later this week.
Following a request received by Pakistan yesterday evening, the United Nations Human Rights Council will hold an urgent debate to, quote unquote, discuss the alarming rise in premeditated and public acts of religious hatred.
The desecration of religious texts took place just outside the Swedish capital of Stockholm, was carried out by a man during an unauthorized protest by the police. The Swedish government condemned the act and has already charged the man with extremism and religious persecution.
Les États membres doivent adopter une position unifiée et des mesures collectives pour empêcher la reproduction récurrente de telles actions ignobles.
Officials from numerous countries, including many in the Middle East, have also reacted to the incident, calling on Stockholm to step up measures against religious hate. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan reacted to this in a televised statement directed towards the European nation.
Türkiye olarak tahrik siyasetine de, tehdit siyasetine de
kesinlikle boyun eğmeyeceğimizin bilinmesini istiyorum. Terör örgütleriyle ve İslam düşmanlığıyla kararlı mücadele edilinceye kadar tepkimizi en güçlü şekilde ortaya koyacağız.
Morocco went beyond a statement of condemnation and recalled its ambassador to Sweden for an indefinite period. Ankara is currently holding up Sweden's application for NATO membership on accusations that the Nordic nation harbors people Turkey considers terrorists.
När det gäller det senare utspelet så är det svårt att säga vilka konsekvenser det får. Jag tycker att det är många som har skäl att besinna sig nu. Det är klart att det är helt oacceptabelt med människor som olagligt tar sig in på svenska ambassader i andra länder. Jag tycker också vi ska besinna oss i Sverige. Det är ett allvarligt säkerhetspolitiskt läge. Det finns ingen anledning att förolämpa andra människor.
In an emergency meeting of the Arab League Council, Qatar joined other nations to deliberate the response towards the city of Jenin experiencing its biggest raid in years. Qatar's Fahd Rashid Al Muraiki, the deputy permanent representative of Doha to the Arab League, led the Gulf nations delegation during the discussion. The siege began on Monday and persisted until Wednesday morning, during which rival forces initiated an intensive ground and air operation on the camp, forcing out hundreds of families. Snipers also swarmed the rooftops of homes on the outskirts of the refugee camp situated in the heart of the West Bank city of Jenin. The League called on the international community to act urgently to provide the necessary protection to the people and oblige the military to stop its flagrant violations of international law and respect the resolutions of international legitimacy.
وتدين مصر بأشد العبارات اعتداءات القوات الإسرائيلية الأخيرة على مدينة جنين وأعمالها الإجرامية بالضفة الغربية والأراضي المحتلة، فيما يعد استخداما مفرطا وعشوائيا للقوة ويرتقي لكونه انتهاكا جديدا في سلسلة انتهاكات متتالية ومستمرة للقانون الدولي والقانون الإنساني الدولي.
Argentina and Brazil take aim at the European Union's stance in negotiations with the Mercosur bloc for a free trade deal. The deal is long delayed due to environmental concerns. The two countries, South America's largest economies, are saying it is unacceptable. Jane Kathleen Gregorio has more details.
Mercosur countries, Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay, reached an agreement in principle with the 27-member European Union in 2019. This, after 2 decades of tough negotiations. At a 2-day summit in Puerto Iguazu, Argentina, Mercosur leaders hit back. Brazil's Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva says the latest proposal is unacceptable. He says strategic partners do not negotiate on the basis of distrust and the threat of sanctions. Lula says Mercosur is not interested in agreements that condemn them to forever be exporters of raw materials, mineral products, and oil. Argentine President Alberto Fernandez echoes the sentiment. Fernandez says no one can condemn them to be suppliers of raw materials that others industrialize and then sell to them at exorbitant prices. Fernandez adds the EU presents them with a partial vision of sustainable development focused excessively on the environmental aspect. Jane Kathleen Gregorio for Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
The presidents of Uruguay and Paraguay expressed concern over the disqualification of Venezuelan candidate Maria Corina Machado during a Mercosur summit. Paraguayan President Mario Abdo Benitez emphasizes that restrictions on political rights should be considered legally invalid.
Hoy vemos una violación a los derechos del pueblo venezolano de María Corina Machado que atacan el nervio de la democracia venezolana.
Uruguayan President Luis Lacalle Pou states that Venezuela cannot transition to a healthy democracy if candidates are disqualified for political reasons.
Flaco favor le haríamos a la democracia venezolana y al pueblo venezolano si no alzamos nuestra voz, como hizo el presidente Abdo, que suscribo, apoyo
Y en este tono, como es el que siempre tenemos, creo que el Mercosur tiene que dar una señal clara para que el pueblo venezolano pueda encaminarse a una democracia plena que claramente hoy no la tiene.
Machado was disqualified from holding public office for 15 years due to errors made in asset disclosures.
Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva's fiery statement criticizes the demands sent by the European Union. The EU threatens penalties to nations that fail to comply with their climate goals. President Lula asserts that the addendums by the EU are unacceptable.
O instrumento adicional apresentado pela União Europeia em março deste ano é inaceitável. Parceiros estratégicos não negociam com base em desconfiança e ameaça de sanções.
He emphasizes the need for a collaborative approach without impositions on Mercosur as a South American trade bloc. The deal was made in 2019 but delayed due to European concerns over the Amazon's deforestation. As the temporary president for Mercosur for the next 6 months, Lula aims to finalize the agreement. He recently met with French President Emmanuel Macron and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen to discuss the deal.
Argentina's President Alberto Fernandez and the South American trade bloc Mercosur opened their two-day summit with hopes of closing a deal with the European Union. Instead, it seems that their meeting did more harm than good, with no trade deals in place and indicators showing division among their ranks. Catherine Ortula has the details.
Though members were previously aware of Uruguayan President Luis Lacalle Pou's objections, they did not expect him to refrain from signing the final statement of the Mercosur Trading Bloc Summit. The other Mercosur leaders committed to not making bilateral agreements with the European Union, as negotiations for a new trade deal between two blocs continue, indicating that Uruguay has other plans. The agreement read that the presidents agreed upon the need to open a space for political reflection on the modernization of the bloc, including the strengthening of the internal agenda for greater integration of their economies, as well as the strategy for international insertion on a consensual and solidary basis. This section is what sparked Uruguay's dissent, as Lacalle Pou demands to make the trading bloc's founding statute more flexible so that each member country may individually negotiate trade agreements with other countries without other Mercosur members. There were also tensions during the summit surrounding the political situation in Venezuela regarding the ban of opposition leader Maria Corina Machado on the upcoming elections. Bolivian President Luis Arce was acknowledged in the final document, with Mercosur looking to incorporate the country into the trading bloc. The final document was signed by Fernandez as well as by the Brazilian and Paraguayan President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva and Mario Abdo Benitez. Fernandez inaugurated the 62nd Mercosur Summit in the Iguazu National Park, where passed the rotating presidency of the organization to da Silva. Catherine Ortula for Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
During the U.S. Independence Day, President Joe Biden calls again for stricter gun control measures while denouncing a wave of shootings that overshadowed the national celebration. Rosel Feria tells us more.
In Philadelphia Monday night, police say 5 people have been killed and 4 wounded in a shooting. Another shooting overnight in Fort Worth, Texas, claimed the lives of 3 and injured 8, CNN reported. According to the Gun Violence Archive, or GVA, as of Tuesday afternoon, while the country celebrates Independence Day, there have already been multiple shootings reported. 5 are injured in Lansing, Michigan. 4 are hurt in Charlotte, North Carolina. Another 4 are injured after a shooting in Akron, Ohio, which police responded to in the early morning hours of Tuesday. Biden says over the last few days, Americans once again endured a wave of tragic and senseless shootings in communities across the U.S. Biden mentions the shootings in Philadelphia, Fort Worth, and Lansing, as well as recent instances of gun violence in Baltimore, Wichita, Kansas, and Chicago. The president says as the nation celebrates Independence Day, Americans pray for the day when our communities will be free from gun violence. Meanwhile, President Biden and First Lady Jill celebrate 4th of July, hosting a barbecue for military families on the south lawn of the White House.
Throughout our history, remind us that democracy is never, never, never guaranteed. Every generation must fight to maintain it. We must always cherish it, defend it, and strengthen it. You know, as we remember the extraordinary country this is, I hope we all rededicate ourselves to the essential work of our democracy, which is to unify this nation.
Rosel Feria for Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Up next, a truck crashes on the Maharashtra highway in India. Spain declares the end of the COVID-19 health crisis in their country. And a UK court looms over London's expanding vehicle pollution fee. Mata ng Agila International will be back after a short break. Don't go away.
This portion is brought to you by Robic Builders.
Abangan sa Counterpoint, kikilalanin natin ang pinakabagong muka na maghahatid sa atin ng balita dito sa Net25. Sino nga ba si Gianna Lianes? You are the great-granddaughter of the late President Diosdado Macapagal.
Yes, po. We call him our Ingkong, and my mom, who's a writer, actually wrote a book about him.
PWD power couple in Paralympics. Chess gold medalist Jean Lee Nasita and basketball silver medalist Marlon Nasita. Ngayong Miyerkules alas 10:30 ng gabi, dito lang sa Net 25. 9 out of 10 cases nadidismiss ng hukuman. It only means this dismal performance, incredible. Hindi nga ako makapaniwala, pero sila mismo nagsasabi. Ibig kong sabihin yan, hindi kayo preparado, hindi nyo pinag-aralan ng mga kaso, at wala kayong coordination doon sa mga pulis na nag-iimbestiga.
An Indian man has been arrested for publicly urinating on a tribal worker. He is facing charges under the Prevention of Atrocities Act, a law designed to protect historically marginalized communities. Some politicians from the opposition political party accuse him of having ties with the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party, or BJP. The BJP denies any connection with the perpetrator. The police have refrained from commenting on the allegations, stating that a thorough investigation is necessary.
In the U.S., a dramatic body cam video captures the moment a Georgia police officer springs into action and rescues a woman from a burning car. Philip Toledo has the details.
Sergeant Ashley Taylor responds to a car crash on Highway 46 in Candler County, Georgia. What you see here is a recorded video from Taylor's body cam as he gets out of his car and runs towards the woods. The police officer then discovers the burning vehicle. Taylor breaks the window and removes the driver from the car. He then pulls a woman out of the car and asks her if there is anyone else in the car. No other person has been found in the car. Candler County Sheriff John Miles commends Taylor's courageous efforts. Miles says due to Taylor's swift actions, the driver was removed from a dangerous situation before it escalated. Philip Toledo for Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Patrons were left hanging upside down for hours in an amusement park in Wisconsin. 8 roller coaster patrons were left hanging on a carnival ride for at least 3 hours at a carnival in Wisconsin. In a report, 7 out of the 8 riders were children who were then rushed to the nearest medical facility for observation. Crandon Fire Department Captain Brennan Cook says that there was a mechanical failure during the ride, causing it to stall in an upside-down position. The ride had to be closed for inspection. The local authorities investigate the cause of the incident.
10 people are killed after a truck crashes into cars on the Maharashtra highway in India. The accident happened at 11 a.m. near the Palesner village in Dhule as the speeding truck hit a car and the pedestrians on the road. Police Deputy Superintendent Pradeep Vivasan Mairale says that at least 20 other people were injured, with some in critical condition, currently being treated at Shirpur and Dhule hospitals. In a report, the truck driver lost control and first hit 2 motorcycles, rear-ended a car and another truck before crashing into a hotel. The police are waiting for the technical examination of the truck to confirm if the accident was due to a brake malfunction.
International Atomic Energy Agency, or IAEA Chief Rafael Mariano Grossi visits the Fukushima Daiichi plant in Japan. And on his 4-day visit in the country, he joined a meeting of government and utility officials, as well as local mayors and fishing association leaders for the wastewater discharge from nuclear plants. In his final report, IAEA chief concluded the plan to release the wastewater, saying that its quality meets international standards. The government and the plant operator said the water must be removed to prevent any accidental leaks and to make room for the plant's decommissioning. It could begin gradually discharging the water through an undersea tunnel from the plant to the Pacific Ocean 1 kilometer offshore. Grossi said that the treating, diluting, and gradually releasing of wastewater is a proven method widely used in other countries.
What we bring here is the experience and the practice applied all over the world, so that locally you can rest assured that when it comes to this activity here, what is happening is not some exception, some strange plan that has been devised only to be applied here and sold to you.
Local fishing organizations have rejected the plan and is also opposed by groups in South Korea, China, and some Pacific Island nations due to safety concerns and political reasons. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, meanwhile, said Japan will continue to provide detailed explanations based on scientific evidence with a high degree of transparency both domestically and internationally.
The Spanish government declares the end of the health crisis caused by COVID-19. Spain lifts the compulsory use of face masks in places like hospitals or pharmacies. Spanish Health Minister José Miñones says, however, that the government still recommends the use of face masks for people with symptoms of a respiratory infection. He says it is important to maintain the culture of responsibility that humans have acquired over the years.
A British court will determine plans to extend a vehicle pollution policy. The new regulation obliges the most polluting vehicles to pay for using roads. From London, England, Love and Season reports.
A UK court will consider contentious plans to extend a scheme obliging the most polluting vehicles to pay for using London's roads, as opponents engage in protests and even sabotage. The High Court case comes just weeks before London Mayor Sadiq Khan's expansion of the ultra-low emission zone, or ULEZ, is set to take effect. London's ULEZ mirrors similar low-emission zones to improve air quality in more than 200 cities in 10 countries across Europe. Petrol cars registered pre-2006 and diesel vehicles first registered before September 2015 are unlikely to meet the minimum emission standards required. The scheme, first introduced in 2019 and separate from the city's 2-decade-old congestion charge, requires more polluting vehicles to pay a £12.50 or $16 toll on days they are driven within inner London. Its extension to all Greater London from August 29 has promoted a fierce backlash from many living in and around the newly encompassed areas, who face fines of up to £160 for each day they fail to pay. Several outer London local authorities and neighbouring Surrey County Council are lodging a court challenge to the way Cannes decided on the expansion. Environmental group Greenpeace criticized the councils for going to court, accusing them of fighting completely the wrong battle. Mayor Khan, re-elected to a second term in 2021, ordered the new measure in November despite a public consultation, suggesting most Londoners oppose it. Reporting from London, United Kingdom, this is Love and Season for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
New Zealand becomes the first country to ban single-use produce bags at grocery stores. Customers in New Zealand already are expected to bring their own shopping bags to grocery stores. Now they also will be asked to carry their own reusable bags for fruits and vegetables. New Zealand can now be considered the first country in the world to ban single-use produce bags at supermarkets. The measure officially went into effect on the 1st of July. Single-use plastics can cause a multitude of problems, including clogging storm sewers, littering landscapes, and killing wildlife. New Zealand Secretary for the Environment, James Palmer, anticipates that the new ban will eliminate 150 million plastic produce bags from circulation each year.
Coming right up, former Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey's Blue Sky experiences record high traffic. Roger Federer graces Wimbledon 2023 from the Royal Box. And men ensemble Philippines impresses Russian crowd in their concert tour. Catch more news in business, tech, sports, and entertainment when we return.
Twitter competitor Blue Sky claimed it experienced record high traffic Saturday after Elon Musk said the site will restrict the number of tweets users can read per day. Mikey Sueda has the data.
There's traffic in the Blue Sky. Blue Sky, an emerging text-based social media platform backed by Twitter co-founder Jack Dorsey, said it experienced record high traffic Saturday after Elon Musk said Twitter will temporarily limit the number of tweets users can view per day, which affected unverified users the most. Still, in an invite-only beta phase, the site had to temporarily pause sign-ups as it worked to resolve issues related to the surge in traffic. But with the release of Meta's similar concept app called Threads on Thursday, traffic could ease up in Dorsey's blue sky. Mikey Suede, reporting for Matanang Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
It was a day of honor and victory for Day 2 at the 2023 Wimbledon. On Tuesday, Wimbledon paid tribute to Roger Federer as the center court crowd gave the Swiss great a standing ovation. Federer was visibly moved before taking a seat next to his wife and Catherine, Princess of Wales. He found this year's Wimbledon more enjoyable because he is not combating the injuries that convinced him to retire last year. Federer ended his career with 20 Grand Slam titles, with first Wimbledon title coming in 2003 and a record 8 men's crown in 2017. The Federer celebration threatened to upstage the first match of the championship for the defending women's champion, Elena Rybakina. Meanwhile, women's defending champion Elena Rybakina survived her Wimbledon scare to reach the second round. This after she defeated the American Shelby Rogers in 3 sets, 4-6, 6-1, and 6-2. She blames her nervous start partly on the presence of Roger Federer sitting in the royal box. Rybakina will now face either Alice Cornet of France or Japan's Naoki Hibino in the second round. For the men's singles, 2-time Wimbledon champion Andy Murray has defeated Ryan Peniston in the first round. Murray may be one of the oldest players in the league, but still manages to win over Peniston in 3 sets, 6-3, 6-0, and 6-1. The hometown hero now awaits the winner between Dominic Thiem and Stefanos Tsitsipas as he advances. And top seed Carlos Alcaraz started his Wimbledon campaign with a win over Jeremy Chardy of France. He defeated Chardy in 3 sets, 6-0, 6-2, and 7-5. Alcaraz, who has 5 titles to his name already this season, is in fine form after winning his maiden grass court trophy at Queen's Club last month. In the second round, Alcaraz faces the winner of the all-French clash between Alexandre Muller and Arthur Redeknesh. Hayao Miyazaki has revealed the release date of his final animated film, How Do You Live, on July 14, 2023, which runs for 2 hours and 4 minutes. He is a favorite in the anime community and his works are recognized by some of the greatest filmmakers. Producer Toshio Suzuki has produced this film at Studio Ghibli and directed by Hayao Miyazaki. The story of the movie revolves around the 1937 novel by Genzaburo Yoshino with the same title that recounts the life of a young boy. The boy in the film questions the purpose of life when he lost his father in an accident. It shifts the flow of the story as his questions are answered by his uncle with sound life advice. This is also rumored to be Hayao Miyazaki's last animated film before formally retiring from Studio Ghibli.
In the Cuban city of Trinidad, cabinet maker Jose Miguel Cadalso tells the history of his hometown by showcasing an exhibit of wooden fans. His passion started when he was 17 and a fresh graduate from the School of Arts and Crafts Restoration of the city. As one of his crafts, Cadalso carved a nearly 4-meter diameter wooden fan that took him several months to finish. He used mahogany, hibiscus, and teak wood for his fans. According to Cadalso, he feels delighted to observe the gaze of passers-by who check his work from the alley. Cadalso installed his gallery in an 18th century house at the center of the city.
Lo he personalizado de mi propia inspiración para quitarme de lo eventual que uno puede ver. Echarse fresco, sin embargo, yo creo que ellos echan fresco sin moverlo por la información que tienen. Pero casi siempre llevan 12, 13.
The male ensemble Philippines showcased their talents and impressed the crowd during their concert tour in Russia. From Moscow, Sherilyn Carlos has the details.
The male ensembles Philippines held a concert tour in St. Petersburg, Russia, and on July 1st, 2023, they performed at the concert Ekaterinska Sobrania, and also known as Catherine Assembly. The concert was presented by the Philippine Embassy in Moscow, with Mr. Sergei Alexei, Honorary Consul in St. Petersburg, along with the Consul of the Philippine Embassy, Nenito Cabrera Jr., and Jose Carlos G. Morales. The concert was dedicated to Filipino community in St. Petersburg, Russia, for their sacrifices and dedication to support the needs of their loved ones. Those in attendance of the concert weren't only the countrymen of the singer, but only includes the local of Russia. The Filipino culture was emphasized and appreciated by the audience in hearing the combination of traditional music by various Filipino composers and different genres and languages, such as Latin, American music, French, and Spanish respectively. The concert was positively received by it. Also had a standing ovation from those in attendance. Consul Nenito Cabrera Jr. and Mr. Niels Emerson Flores, a spokesperson of the male ensemble Philippines, delivered warm greetings and messages to those who supported them during the concert, and hear what was said.
Mabuhay po sa inyong lahat. Ako po si Niels Flores ng Male Ensemble Philippines. Kami po ay naimbitahan ng Embassy ng Pilipinas, Embahada ng Pilipinas dito sa Russia. At para po sa lahat ng ating mga kababayan dito po, lalo na sa St. Petersburg, maraming salamat po sa inyong suporta. Kami po ay bumiyahe mula Moscow, pupunta po dito. Hindi po biro ang layo at hindi rin po biro ang sakripisyo na inilaan po ninyo para sa lahat po ninyong pamilya sa pagpunta at pagtrabaho po dito.
Nagpapasalamat po kami sa mga nagsipagdalo ng mga overseas Filipino workers natin dito sa St. Petersburg, Russia. At kanila pong sinuportahan ng Male Ensemble Philippines sa kanila pong pagtatanghal dito sa Ekaterinska Sobrania sa St. Petersburg. Ito po ay napaka-importanting event sapagkat ito po ay kasama sa ika-125 na anniversary ng proklamasyon ng kasarilan ng Pilipinas.
From the city of St. Petersburg, Russia, I am Sherilyn Carlos reporting for Batala Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
And to help you get through the midweek, here's a quote from Khalil Gibran, Lebanese-American writer, poet, and visual artist. Your living is determined not so much by what life brings to you as by the attitude you bring to life, not so much by what happens to you as by the way your mind looks at what happens.
As much as it's difficult to hear, it's really a matter of perspective. So the highs and lows in life, just embrace it. It's all about your perspective.
So true. I definitely agree.
And that's a wrap for tonight's news. Catch the latest updates on our social media channels. I am Gianna Llanes.
And I am Nina Richie Alago Flores. Please stay tuned for tonight's episode of Counterpoint with attorney Salvador Panelo and none other than the very lovely Miss Gianna Llanes. This is Mata ng Agila International, Trusted, Connected, on Point.